It's always lovely to connect back to the bridge. First of all, my name's Kevin. I am a Irish-German former volunteer of the BridgeLine. I was there in 2012 and 2013 as a live-in residential volunteer counselor. When I started, it was called Building a Bridge, then it changed to Building Bridges, and then I think 2 years later again, or 3 years later, it changed to the BridgeLine. It was one of the most influential, formative years of my life, which is perhaps also why, even though I'm not American, I speak with an American accent, which definitely irritates quite a few people when I meet them first. Just because it's kind of imprinted on me as a person. Living with very interesting, bright personalities, the people that the BridgeLine serves, being able to learn from them also in how they go about their life, especially with what I do now, which is kind of international relations, international politics. It's helpful to be reminded of that. There's just so many people who are faced with a lot of daily struggles, and they still keep a positive attitude. They still focus on what they can do best and how they can go about that. It's very humbling to always be reminded of that, how people just make the best of things, despite challenges. And I'm incredibly grateful that I got to be part of that and part of the community that the BridgeLine is for that year, just after I graduated high school, actually. If anybody would come to my room, like my little student dorm in Geneva right now, they'd find quite a few pieces that I have collected throughout that year. One of them was a postcard that one of the residents of the BridgeLine painted, and she gave to me to always keep in mind and always remember the people there. That still hangs in my room today. That was a very memorable moment. And often it's kind of the little things that you remember that imprint on you when you've been working with somebody for several months, and then you notice even like a very little instance, kind of like a daily thing, but you notice where the progress lies in what they've just done, and when you realize this, that's kind of when you're like, oh my God, we're working towards something together here, and might be a tiny step, but kind of in the scope of things, it's still a big one, because that's essentially how people move forward. It's like in small, even if incremental steps. It's always important to keep in mind that what I'm doing right now, incrementally every day, is, even if small steps, a step in the right direction, Yeah, it's sometimes hard to keep that mindset, but it's actually very, very important. And just being there made me realize that kind of people is what I'm invested in, and where my heart kind of lies, and just figuring out how people and helping people in my best capacity, and to work with other people towards that we all progress and move forward. With the experience that I made at the Bridge, I've kind of taken this to another kind of level, working in international assistance, international development, and humanitarian politics and everything. But kind of the core of everything is still how people can move forward and live the lives they deserve to live, essentially. One of the residents who lived with me at the time at the Lexington house, we were trying to get him to work on his daily activities and find something to structure his day and organize it. We then kind of set up this scheme where he would go to one of the other kind of day activity centers, I guess it's called. It's been 8 years now, and he still goes there, and that's great. That's a process that started all the way back then. And it's progress that was not lost, keeps on carrying on. And he by now lives by himself and everything. That's obviously even more progress. Also recently spoke to a few of the live-in residents over Zoom, and it was just beautiful to see that, everybody's still in the same spirit. They're still there with their humor and their jokes. It's kind of nice to see that human connection also kind of stays. For me, it's kind of needless to say how great the organization is and how important the work is that they do. To anybody who has the capacity, who has the resources, the time just at their hands, you will definitely not regret getting involved and volunteering with the Bridge. You will make an impact that actually stays with people, and they will remember you for that, and they will also thank you for that.